Second. So guys, for those that know Jackie, those that don't, so Jackie Huang, attorney at law, she's been practicing for just a few years now, and why we brought her on here is the theme of these next 2 weeks, the week that just passed, and next week, for any of our guests that are joining us on these Zoom meetings, it has been past, present, and future, and really just kind of walk through from the legal perspective what Jackie, also not only as an attorney but also as a businesswoman who has built a law practice through a lot of different times, and that's what we're going to share here. So, Jackie, if you don't mind, walk us through how you got not how you got into the business, but walk us through the beginning of your practice, how you built it up from the business perspective first. So, how did you build it from the business side? So you graduated law school, you got right into real estate law. Were you always wanting to be a real estate attorney?
Actually, I always wanted to be an attorney ever since I was in high school. I was debating whether I should be a lawyer because I think I'm good at debating, or I want to be a journalist because I fond of reading, writing, and talking. Yes. So.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
So now you graduated law school, and you came from China, right?
Yes, I came from Shanghai, China.
Shanghai, and you graduated law school. And did you come into New York when you came into the United States, or did you in a different state?
I lived in New Jersey for about a year or so, and then I applied law school. I got admitted. I was admitted by Toro Law Center in Long Island, and then I transferred the second year. I got a dean's list, so then I transferred to Cardozo, the law school of Villanova University, right? And then I took the bar. I passed it one-time shot. And in the meantime, I always working in a Midtown law firm, which is a trust estate firm, and they offered me a job. But in the meantime, I interned. I actually worked a part-time during the weekdays in my law school year, and then I worked on weekends, 2 days a week. In a small local law firm that they actually have lots of Chinese clients. So then I saw the difference between these two different type of practice, and I felt that I had to accumulate my own client base. So this is what I told myself: hey, when you are 60 years old, you are not scared of losing your job, and you want to have a clientele, a client base that you don't have to be too concerned about. So it's in essence, in nature, it's very similar to what the real estate agent business is, because you accumulate your own customer base. Michael not going to be able to steal your clients. Your coworkers not going to be able to steal your client as long as you build them up. So the concept of planting seeds is the way of growing your own business instead of killing them. It's not one-shot business. You don't know. You get referrals from your clients. I get referrals from my clients. So in essence, it's a very, very similar business model. So this is how I started. And I do everything that make money except, trafficking drugs, maybe. So I'm just joking. Right. So I do everything. I do interpretation. I accompany the customers to do immigration interview. So I pretty much do everything that they pay me. Do divorce, uncontested divorce, but by and by the market actually pushed me into being a real estate attorney, because I just get more and more people asking for legal service in real estate transaction deals. And then when they grow wealthy, they want to protect their assets. So then we started trust and estate planning as well. But that's not the majority portion of our business income. Our business income is mostly real estate transactions. So that's
so
how
so it's interesting that they're kind of the same. There's the parallel, and that's what I wanted to focus on for the past. There is a parallel because you're a business person. You started out. You had to raise funds, and how do you raise funds besides going to the bank? You did anything possible to provide a service to any particular client. Interpretations. That's pretty cool to hear. And then you started your own practice. So how did that go? I mean, when you opened up, how were the market conditions? And just guys following along over here, I want you to hear the parallels on how Jackie, graduated law school, started raising funds by talking to. I would imagine that when you came here, Jackie, your sphere of influence, the people that you knew, wasn't as many people as some people who were born here. So you had to build that sphere. You had to build that sphere up. So tell us the time that you started opening your practice. What was the climate of the industry then, or the market rather?
At the time, actually, that was after 9/11. Mm-hmm. It's a very sad because you can feel the atmosphere. And I started 2005. Actually, I started doing internship in 2003 and 2004. So when we picking the location, we went to Flushing, we went to Elmhurst, we went to Brooklyn. At the time, Brooklyn 8th Avenue maybe only has one supermarket. Can you imagine that? And maybe one or two takeout restaurants. So at the time, we do feel the influx of immigrants after 9/11. There are more and more people moving into Brooklyn. So that's how I get the feeling of the vibes. So that's why we picked Brooklyn 8th Avenue, Sunset Park as our office location. And it's just more and more immigrants, and they need tons of legal service. So that's how
talking about that. Let's talk about like marketing and how you had costs, how you spend your money, because I remember that first office you had on the second floor, and just the reason why I want to share that is to, because agents have a budget as well, whether they're brand new or they're experienced. If they're brand new, it kind of goes back to what you did, right? You did anything in their power to raise capital. And then when you started raising capital, I'm sure, talk about marketing. How do you market to customers? And also you found your space, and just, describe what that space, looked like or felt like to right. It's humble beginnings, You
still remember old days, right?
Yeah. Going in there and be like, is this the law office? But
come on, it's really nice smell. Come on.
Yeah, it was a beautiful smell. Yes. If you could describe, it was above. Is a fruit market or a fish market?
A restaurant. Fish market? It's above a restaurant, and they have smoked ducks and smoked pigs, all the time, and we can feel the smell. And right next the building is a fish market. So when client came, that they don't even know which door they should, put their feet in. So because the neighbor fish market always overcrowd our sidewalk.
So really then describe then how you earn the trust though, right? So agents need to earn trust. And now, we don't want to go to the present yet, but agents have to earn trust. And, I joke around all the time with the agents. It's not always about the car that you drive or the clothes that you wear, because really it comes down to trust and likability. And, in terms of physical space, that could be something like a car that you might drive, the physical space, if you relate it to real estate. So how did you earn the trust? So you had, in your business, you definitely have to market to people or go to networking events. So tell us about what you did to generate clients as we go to the present and help the agents talk about legal topics in just a few moments. Let's continue with business first.
Sure. I think as an attorney just started out, I have disadvantage. People think I'm just a paralegal because I look too young. Maybe that's a compliment if someone tells me now, but at the time I was just 26. I got my license. So I started out and practicing on my, on whatever savings that I have. So it's very difficult for me to put, big ad, just like a personal injury lawyers, because in the beginning, no one knows you unless they pass by your office. And plus our office is right above a restaurant. And the sign that you can stick out for is very hard for people to, just to hold their heads up and see our office sign. So we actually very much that, just like I said, nurturing the customer base. I focusing on nurturing the relationship. I think that's particularly important.
And how did you nurture the relationship, Jackie? So what were the ways? How did you generate the lead?
We work 7 days a week. I work 7 days a week. I literally live around the corner. My office is on 8th Avenue, 58th Street. It's on 8th Avenue. And I live on the second building on 59th Street next to 8th Avenue. So that's how close I was with my office. I literally live around the corner, that's big. So if the phone rings, if I even forwarded my office phone to my cell phone after working hours. So if someone calls, I still pick up the phone call. So
including real estate agents.
Yeah, of course. So I would let's say if immigrants clients that they have to go for interview, and that was in Garden City, they don't have a car, I don't have to offer a ride. I barely know how to drive at the time. I even remember it was way too early, and I woke up and I drive to the wrong lane, and someone was beeping at me, so that I have to turn around and switch lanes. So that's my driving skill at the time. But I would take the guts to offer them a ride. Thank God they survived. We back home all safely, and then they passed their interview. So, and also at the time, I don't know to do lots of things. I just have to learn on my own. The part of the nature of being a lawyer or any professional, you have to do research. It's not that hard, it's just you have to put a time and effort. I still get sometimes, excuse me, sometimes I get annoyed. Agent would ask like where to find how much the building is taxed for, for the real estate property tax. I was like, those are public information, if you don't invest in yourself to learn skills, someone else will be better than you. And when you open your mouth and talk things, people will know if you know it or not. If you go soliciting listings, you have to know inside out of the house and the neighborhood of this, where is this location. So to speak, that, I prepare interview questions, Q&As. I just mock interview for my clients. I don't have to do anything of that. Regular, immigration lawyers not necessarily do those for them. They probably tell them that what kind of questions that the immigration officer might ask, give them a list, have them prepare at home. I literally do mock interview with them, and I even call, pretending to call. They would call your relatives, see if your relatives can name the non-citizen wife or spouse, basically non-citizen spouse who's the applicant. They will ask in details. They will separate you in different rooms to ask you questions, see how familiar you two were to each other.
So you went above and beyond.
I went above and beyond. I went more than above and beyond.
And that's how you built so that's how you built the trust then, right? So you built the trust.
They will refer you their friends. They trust you. They refer your friends. And I also remember there's an immigration. I'm just using the immigration clients as a reference, but I have real estate clients as well. You know, there's a man I still remember. He's because his lawyer moved, so his notice, he never get the notice from immigration office, and his case got denied. Then I reopened the case for him, and finally he was able to get his wife and the daughter come into the States after maybe 12 years. So he's so gracious to me, and he said without me helping him to reopen the case, he'll never be able to do that. And I charge him a fraction of fees. It's not the fact that I don't want to charge him, but I think that's what's comparable to my work to be done. So sometimes I never look at the current value of how much you want to milk from a particular client. You treat it as a lifelong time client base, and I think about
the lifetime value of the client.
Yes, the lifetime value is very important. You can never think of someone that, oh, after deal, I'll never deal with you anymore. I'll say goodbye to you. Don't have that kind of mentality, because you never know. You'll be surprised. Sometimes, actually, a lot of time when I was representing a buyer, the seller actually came back to me and wants to retain me after the closing, because they see how much I, protecting my clients and how much I prepare my closing with closing statement, a folder, instruction for post-closing, the phone number, gas company phone number I listed on my instruction sheet. No other attorney that they dealt with ever done that. So they see the extra work that I put for my client. So that's something that you can think of, while being on pause. So pause is just preventing you from roaming out there, but your brain should not be on pause. Your thinking should not be on pause. You still are full-time working agent. So you have to think that way.
Beautiful. So I want to flip gears a little bit, because this was the business talk, and hopefully this is helpful to a lot of our agents here, because business is business. It's not just attorney, real estate professional. Business is business. So, But let's talk a little bit about the marketplace back when the time was rough. So you built that client base, but now what happened? Because I'm sure the agents want to hear. I remember, and this is really important to me, I always tell a story about a particular condo project. In fact, that the majority of the condos that we sold, actually, you represented the buyers. And I don't want to share the exact address on this call, but basically a lot of deals would go into contract and go out of contract during that time period. So I've been talking to our agents about transition right now, and the market transitioning. So can you just give me just a little bit of the climate with the buyer base? What did they do back then? How were they feeling? Because and we're talking about 2008, 9, 10, 11, for an extended period of time, buyers, the transition went from sellers to now buyers gaining more control. And during the pandemic time right now, prior to the pandemic, buyers are already starting to gain control. So just walk me through that a little bit about what you experienced during the so-called downturn, because you had to practice as well. You had to collect fees from people. You had to guide people. So tell me about the climate then, and is it differing from what we might be going through in the present now? Was that is it too long-winded? Sorry about that. So when I always talk about the condo project that I literally sold each one of the units probably 2 or 3 times each, and a lot of times you were the attorney on the buy side. And what did buyers do then? How do they act? How do we manage to get these deals closed? So from a legal perspective, how did you have to coach the customer? What was some of the feelings that those customers have? Really, I'm just trying to get a feel on how did you make it through the downturn with customers?
It's a hard time, to be honest. I would say 2008 to 2009, 2010, 11 for the 2008 to 2009 period, I think the market was very, very tough. I think a lot of people, they feel that, oh, I have to wait for the market to recover. But actually, the market is recovered. It's just that since my practice, I've never seen so many people got laid off, and particularly because my clientele, they mostly working in restaurants, supermarkets, and nail salons. So that kind of area that provides personal service. And given the unique situation, because during 2008, I don't really see that many people, my people, my clients get out of job. But this time that we do get clients notify us that they lost their job or their stores are not opening, so bank wouldn't approve the loans, things like that. However, we still keep up, we close based on what the lenders.
What I wanted, I'm sorry to interrupt, Jackie. What I wanted to ask is, back in those tough times, even though they didn't lose their jobs, though, there was still a certain feeling of uneasiness. So even though the deals were going through, people would renegotiate back out of deals, renegotiate via engineer inspection. So what were those buyers feeling back then? If you can remember, there were buyers still backing out of deals. And then we can talk about the pandemic situation, because I think what I'm trying to bridge the gap is our agents are thinking about what the future is going to look like, and it's a little bit cloudy. So, but just, are there any parallels to the market of 2008, 9, 10, 11 to possibly where we're going to go in the future? So if we could walk through just what happened back then, even though those customers worked in restaurants, and they may not have been affected, their businesses did see a drop in revenue, or the businesses they worked on saw a drop in revenue, quite a little bit, and those buyers then try to translate that into negotiating prices. So how did you handle that, though? Was there a dip? Because you worked through those times, and then you worked through growing times. So was there any parallels or anything you could share on that?
Yes, of course. Anytime that there's always buyer think that they paid too much, and the seller think that they selling for too little. So there's always someone's thinking that they've been taken advantage of. If you ask every single one, they're not gonna tell you that, hey, I think I really get a bargain. They would think that's they overpay, or they paid just right around the market price. So that's the mentality. And given any particular crisis, people would take advantage of it if they think they are in a better position. So we've seen that the sellers raising prices after the offer has been made. They could say, oh, there's another offer put on the table. So you can't really blame, you can't really think, oh, the buyer's playing games, oh, now they want the price off, now they picking up things that they never really care, or people used to be not really bothered with from the inspection report. So you can have to, I would say, don't ever think people are in bad faith, because I just purely, this is a skill that we learned in law school, that how we take exam is we take sides by turns, that we kind of dissect ourselves, like we play three roles just by our one person. So we play plaintiff's lawyer, we played as defendant's lawyer, and then we play as judge. So this is how we write our essays. So to me personally, maybe I was trained for that I never took something to giving too much interpretation. So you just take it as business as usual. Okay, the buyers, you want price renegotiation, you want to back out the contract, you treat it as business as usual. You never put more emotional into it, because the more you put emotional, you get more frustrated, and then you're getting more feel like you pissed off, or you feel like you're getting betrayed and cheated. It doesn't help, it doesn't really help. So first of all, you have to cool down. You have to kind of separate yourself from the whole scenario. You keep yourself as a neutral party. So then you will be able to put your shoes into buyer's shoes, put yourself in your buyer's shoes, and then think of how they think. And then when you understand what are they really trying to achieve, then you can be a better negotiator to help work it out with the seller. So that's a very important mentality.
And Jackie, let me just, I just want to say just a couple of things for compliance. So guys, make sure you're always watching your agency, meaning if you're working, you're the listing agent, you represent the seller, you represent the buyer. So just gain a little bit of clarity here. You know, I'm not an attorney, you know, Jackie is, but what she was mentioning just now, the technique is if you are representing the seller, you certainly should, even if the buyer is negotiating the price, you should think about what the buyer's going through, so you're not upset. So remember, you're not changing roles. Yes. This is not a dual agency situation. This is what Jackie's purely saying is think about what they're going, we think about what the buyer's going through, think about what the seller's going through, and then as if the judge is like right in the middle, okay, how can we get these people to the table while being also compliant, right? Correct. Because the key here, many people want to be, I hate to say it like this, but heroes. And as long as we're compliant, meaning we're following the Department of State agency disclosure, you are trying to get people to the table. The mission is if the buyer wants to buy and they want to get to the table, then get them to the table. If the seller wants to sell, and then everything will kind of just all come together here. So that's, you know, Jackie said that. I just want to make sure that the agents are clear on compliance as well, because you can't just switch roles and say I'm the seller's agent. You just have to make sure that you are thinking that way, because for sure, as Jackie mentioned, you have to pull the layers off, because if you're thinking like the seller, then you're not thinking like a real estate professional, because the seller, that's why they need you. They need for you to guide them and let them know that if a buyer is renegotiating the price, there's a reason, and don't always think there's malice in their heart, right? Don't think there's some dubious activity. Something might have came up and they'll use it as, oh, well, you know, the roof is leaking, or rather, the roof is, that's a little bit different. You know, I don't like, it's too far from the train. You'll hear people be in contract for 2 months and all of a sudden they say it's too far from the train. And you say, wait a minute, you're in contract for 2 months, guys. What do you mean it's too far from the train? They'll say, well, yeah, my cousin, you know, she doesn't like the house. It's too far from the train now. And ultimately, what they're really crying out for is they just want an adjustment in price. And that's how crazy it got in during the downturn is, oh, it's, you know what, it's too close to the water. I remember the condo I was talking about before with Jackie, people said that they was too close to the water. And then, but little did we know, after, you know, an adjustment in price, the seller was okay with the price adjustment, buyer's okay with the price adjustment, we did the deal. And our job is to, as Jackie said, is keep the middle ground, because otherwise, if you show your emotions, your seller's going to think it's not normal for the buyer to do this, and the seller won't open up. Because actually, if in this conversation I had with one of our agents yesterday, Jackie, your job is ultimately to get the best price and to keep things confidential if you're the listing agent representing the seller. But at the same time, if the seller wants to achieve selling the property, okay, you know, there was a buyer that kept on pushing one of our agents through the ringer. You know, it's this problem, it's that problem, it's this problem, it's that problem, and ultimately what they were crying out for is they don't want to pay the price anymore. So if the person continues as an agent, if the person continues to lead that seller down that path of anger, the seller's never going to be open-minded. And actually, especially in today's market, they may cost the seller money in the long run, because of putting it back on the market may cost them more money because the market is in transition. So, okay, we're going to continue on. I just wanted to kind of touch on what you said, because it's actually very important what you just said. I like how you said it was the plaintiff, defendant, and then the judge, just a mindset. So, you know, as we go through this in the present time, so I know you mentioned in the wrap-up part, but I don't know how many people join later. Let's try to give an abbreviated version of our closing still happening, and what do you, or rather, are deals still happening? Number one, compliant deals, guys, compliant deals, right? Remember, the emergency order says we are not supposed to work, but virtually, and that's a kind of. But are you seeing deals? Are you seeing deals happen right now, in the current time? Are you seeing any deals? You know, any accepted offers, any deal sheets coming your way, even a little bit?
Yes,
yeah.
of course.
Okay.
We still getting bundles. we're still getting contract review, and we're still getting contract signed. So
And on the
nowadays,
contract sign, how are you handling that virtually? You know, is it FaceTime? Is it WeChat? Is it Zoom? What are you doing on
we do
contract?
phone calls. We do phone calls. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
we just do phone calls, and we walk through them just like as if they're sitting in our office. That we walk through the whole procedure, and we still have one particular cases that we going back and forth and doing negotiations. We still doing due diligence that we were able to figure out that there's a particular reason why the jobs are not signed off. So we've been constantly keep updated with our customers, and now even better, they call me on my cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
So
Good.
yes, I open up to them. I think it would be easier for them to reach me anytime if they feel needed. So that's important that you keep communication open for your clients. They have ways to find you if they need it. I don't feel too bothersome that they don't call me just randomly whenever they have a question. They just call me up. No, they respect my privacy. But when they have the needs, they will call me. So I totally feel comfortable to be connected with my customers. And we also using tools using WeChat. So we keep updating with each other. We group together with real estate agents. We group together with there's group chat. So we link in agents, we link in loan officers. Of course, we have private conversation between the lawyer and the clients, so to keep the confidentiality. So we're still working. So that's the mentality that pause doesn't keep you stop working from home.
Right.
Especially real estate transaction is essential. So I'm not asking people to risking their lives to just go into a particular house and without keeping social distance, without having proper PPE. However, you should have the mindset. This is not hybriding. This is not your homecation. This is working from home. So that's very important.
Yeah, and just a disclaimer, guys. You guys are not allowed to go out, even with any protective gear. We are under emergency order, stay at home. But you are allowed to, at the current time, still do virtual. But virtual means that you should not be present with the seller. So just be very clear. You can have the seller do a video of the property and work through Zoom. But I want to touch on what Jackie mentioned. So Jackie mentioned the platform WeChat. Whatever it is, we have a very diverse community. So for those that use WhatsApp, Facebook, it's really a matter of how find the customer where they're at. If they use Facebook, if they use WhatsApp, if they use email, Zoom, find the customer where they're at today, because I'm sure everyone's using some type of virtual communication system. So, and of course, naturally, if someone like Jackie or any other agent, every other professional may have a way to communicate with clients, and maybe that'll help you keep moving the deal. So Jackie, I think you're frozen. Hold on.
Yes.
There you are. You're frozen.
Okay.
You're frozen. So as we kind of go into the Q&A, before we go into Q&A, so tell us again now, your deals are happening, the deals that are pending, what are some strategies to get ahead, meaning there are some buyers, I'm sure, that are uneasy. What are you seeing what success are you seeing between whether it's the attorney, whether it's the agent? Because buyers, of course, are concerned, right? Whether they lost their job, whether the business is down. How are agents saving the deal? How is attorneys saving the deal? What are some techniques? Are customers staying in the deal? What's going on with that?
I want to using an example without disclosing too much, the identity, etc. We do have very recent, maybe 2 days ago, I got a WeChat message. My client says, "Oh, I don't think I want to buy this house anymore. I don't think because of the pandemic, I don't think I want to buy it." So I don't WeChat him back. I just call her. I call her up, I call her up and I asking questions. I tell her that I myself, I also moved into, by the way, I moved into Staten Island. Finally, I'm an islander.
Congratulations.
So I told her how I feel and the reason why I moved, because she has a little kid, you know, similar as my kid's age. So I told her, I asked her, why you in the first place, you want to buy this particular house? So I feel more like we two as two mothers, that we can, you know, talk a little bit about our personal life. I'm not shy from tell her, you know, how I feel and why the reason why I opted for a more suburban area. So end up, she said, oh, I think I made a right decision that I buying this house. My dad told me that when I buy a house, he said, make sure you don't regret, you know, make sure you buy enough space. And then I was like, then it's just in my head. I was like, then why you tell me you're not buying? So they just needed some assurance from someone that thinking they're making a good decision, you know, instead of a bad decision there because of their coworker says, because their cousin says, oh, the house gonna, you know, the price gonna be lower, you know, you're paying too much, blah, blah. And that brings me a picture of the chicks that they running around and they saying to each other, hey, the sky's falling, the sky's falling. They just running around and they have no idea, you know, what's gonna happen. So you know, so if you ever experience some doubts and you kind of sense it, you know, kind of feel it, you have to talk to them. Don't text, because text doesn't really manifest what you really meant to say or what they really meant to say. So it's very important. I can't emphasize enough. Communication is very important. And I understand nowadays the newer generation, they like to text. They don't want to talk, you know. So that's why we have those online chat. When you go to someone's website, they will pop up online chatting, so you chat with them. But this is not the way that how real estate transaction should be operated. It's still a very personal decision. You can feel a lot of things that you don't feel from the texting message or WeChat message or even voice message. So to keep the communication channel open is something very critical and important. So I'm just using that as an example to encourage our agent. Don't let your clients acting like the chicks, or don't have yourself acting like a chicks, you know, thinking the sky's falling. The sky's not gonna fall. It's except that you have to, if it's raining, bring out your umbrella. If it's snowing, put up your snow coat. So it's a human nature that you just have to gear up, and as simple as that be.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is we're in the emotional business, and we just have to kind of work through people's emotions. Because many agents, the approach they'll take, and I want to make sure you heard Jackie loud and clear, the approach they take is saying that it's a great time to buy because interest rates are low. Guys, many times it's not about the interest rates being low. Many times it's a situational thing, right? So Jackie said, she mentioned she wants to go to the suburbs of Staten Island. So we have some Staten Island agents on here. So the suburbs of Staten Island, I love how New York City works. The suburbs. It's true. It's got a lot of grass, I'm sure. But all joking aside, it's usually an emotional thing. So if we use to buy because interest rates are low or inventory is low, I think many people may not be as receptive to the emotional part. Jackie, we lost you on the video. You there, Jackie?
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. So I think if you hear what Jackie's saying, let's get the emotional piece in there, and then you'll win. So we're about a few minutes away from wrapping up. Let's get to the Q&A part. Guys, as I mentioned at the beginning, on Q&A, put the questions inside the chat box. I won't call on you unless you want to speak to Jackie directly. So please ask your questions in the chat box. I'm going to continue talking to Jackie while the questions pop up. So hopefully you guys will have some good questions for her on this. So go ahead and put those questions in. So Jackie, while they're putting the questions in, what advice would you give them going into the future of this? it sounds like you already gave the advice, but really from a business perspective, from a legal perspective, what do you suggest in short while we're waiting for any questions? What's something you can give our agents on the call?
As I just said in the first portion, that I encourage everyone that you divide your time frame into 3 stages, 3 needs. One is what do you have to do, and the second is what do you can do, and the third is what do you want to do. So how to define the 3 different needs? First is something you must do, such as you still are full-time working agent, unless you are part-time agent. So if you are full-time working agent, you have to dedicate hours into studying, into online course learning, into making videos for Facebook, for promoting yourself, for making awareness. You have to dedicate how many minutes you have to call your clients, landlord clients, to update them with the lease, whether housing court can kick out a tenant if they don't pay rent. There's tons of information out there online, so don't expect people spoon feed you. So this is not gonna work. You have to learn on yourself, and you have to dedicate minutes to making phone calls. You have to even writing articles to post on Facebook, whatever social media postings, to post, you know, the houses that you used to doing that. So these are things that you must do, because your work doesn't stop just because you were not able to going out to do open houses. So that's things must to do. And the second thing is things that you can do. The things that you can do are joining webinars, participating online Zoom meetings, because there's so many real estate functions that they actually now they offering all kinds of meetings online. You can listen to your peers, what they think, their prediction of the real estate transaction trend. These things are you can do. If you have extra time, you can actually do it. It makes better. And you can taking a daily journal, spend 5-10 minutes to write down what you've learned, what you have done in every single day. So after, we still have 1 more month to be on pause. So you have a 30-day journal to write about. So you can have your thinkings, put down your thoughts, what you can improve. And the third thing is what I want to do. So when I talk about
Jackie, I think we lost you for a second. Are you there? Well, hopefully we didn't lose her completely. Maybe either internet connection or phone kind of ran out of juice. So I'm probably going to wrap for her because I don't know if she's going to come back. So were there any questions though that I can forward over to her? Didn't look like we had any questions pop up. So guys, these meetings are going to keep going on. Next week we'll have some more interviews with different people, whether it's in the real estate space, business space. So next week we do have another meeting that will be in English and in Russian for some agents. But I promise you, we're going to keep bringing content to hopefully help you with your business. And I hope you found this very helpful and meaningful to you. And yeah, just keep going, guys. Have a good Friday. We'll keep on. Hold on. Yeah. So have a good Friday, guys. Have a beautiful weekend, and just stay positive. Stay positive, and once this all unlocks, for those that have really put the time and energy in, they're just gonna as one of our other this week said, you're going to shoot out like a cannon. And when I say that, I really mean it, because you'll be prepared. Those that are prepared, think about this. If you completely, as Jackie was mentioning before, go on pause, then when you unlock like everyone else will unlock, then you'll be like everyone else. But if you prepare today, as long as you feel okay and up to it, then you'll be way ahead of everyone else when this all slows down a little bit. So I wish you all the best. Have a great Friday. And if you need, as always, just give me a buzz if you need. Okay? Bye, guys.
Bye, Mike.
Bye, everyone.